Yo, what is up guys? In this video, I'm gonna talk to you guys about making money as a digital nomad. Now, with the recent things that have happened in the news, we've seen a lot of people freak out, we've seen a lot of people lose their jobs, and we've seen the economy take a huge shift, and it looks like in the next 14 to 21, maybe the next 30 days, things are going to be a lot different. A lot of people are going to keep losing their jobs. A lot of businesses are going to shut down. And as a result, people are looking for other forms of work. And as I'm watching this happen here from my home in Bali, what I've noticed is that everyone who's living here in Bali isn't freaking out or worried as much as everyone is back home, because most people I know in Bali are mainly working as digital nomads. And since they're already working from home, they're already their own boss, and they're already in control of the entire situation, they are the most prepared for what is to come. And I think a lot of people, whether things smooth out even over the next day or 2 days, if they end tomorrow, people are going to realize, regardless of what happens in the future, that being in control of your own situation, having the freedom to work from home or work in another country or work in an office, having the freedom to choose that is a huge benefit in case anything does happen in the future. And being in control of your own income is going to be a huge motivating factor for people that have been working at companies, and even though they've been doing an amazing job at the position that they were filling, a lot of these companies are just going out of business and they're losing their jobs. These are skilled, well-qualified, intelligent people that are losing their jobs because of this huge shift in the economy. And that's frightening for a lot of people. A lot of people went into debt, a lot of people went to school, and a lot of people have worked really hard for these positions, and now they're being let go just because of the fact that companies can't keep up. A lot of companies, depending on the industry they're in, are going to have to completely shut down based on the travel restrictions that have been put in place lately, based on the slowdown in business, based on being unable to put people together in a room because people are now being more separated for who knows how long. And because of this, a lot of companies are going out of business. Personally, I know several people that run very big companies, and they have already shut their entire company down before they go too much in debt, and they've pretty much just cut their losses, decided that this is not a battle worth winning, and let all of their employees go. So this digital nomad lifestyle is going to come up a lot more in the future. And like I said, even if people end up fixing everything in the next 2 days, regardless of what happens, people are going to realize that being in control of your own income and knowing how to make money for yourself and do it anywhere and have location independence is going to give you a huge advantage in case anything like this ever happens again. And it's also going to motivate people to move towards a lifestyle that maybe they've been wanting to move towards for a long time, but now they're pretty much forced to work on this since they have no other options. So I think we are going to see a huge change in the next 6 months or a year, and this is really going to change the entire job market. Not to mention, a lot of companies that are now forcing their employees to work from home might realize that a lot of people who are working from home now are doing it very efficiently. They might be saving money, and in the future we could see companies downsizing their office spaces and having more people work from home. And that is actually one of the options that you can have as a digital nomad, and that is working for a large corporation, but doing it from home. And I personally know a couple of people that do this. I don't do this. I run my own business. I have my own brand, and I've always sold my services to other clients when I first started out. So I've always been an independent freelancer, and now I'm more so a business owner. But I do know people that work for very large corporations. One of my buddies, Upton, he works for CNBC, and he's been able to convince his company to let him work here in Bali, because after a 1-month trip that he did working for them here in Bali, they noticed that his productivity levels were way higher than everyone else in the office. And after some convincing and persuasion, he was able to convince his boss to let him work here in Bali remotely as a digital nomad. And at this point, he is one of the only people at his office that is able to do that. And it's because he followed a few very specific steps that helped him convince and persuade his boss to let him do this. But that doesn't change the fact that a lot of companies now are doing this simply because they are forced to. So it's going to be interesting seeing how things play out over the next 6 months. And right now, everything is just speculation. So there's really no knowing what is going to happen. But all I can do is share with you guys my experience working as a digital nomad, the steps that I went through, how I started making money, and how I transitioned through the 3 major steps of being a digital nomad. And those are the same 3 steps that I've seen a lot of other people who work from home go through as well. Now, what is a digital nomad, and what are some of the major advantages that digital nomads have even before this whole entire scare happened, and after it gets fixed? What are some advantages that you will have as a digital nomad? Well, first of all, if you don't know what a digital nomad is, a digital nomad, as the name implies, is someone who works online, uses technology to their advantage to make money, and lives a nomadic lifestyle, pretty much meaning that they can live anywhere in the world, work anywhere they want, whether that be a coffee shop, a hotel, at their villa in Bali, or at their apartment in LA. They have the freedom to choose all of that, and they are completely self-sufficient. They're not really reliant on anyone else, except if you're working with clients. But other than that, you pretty much have the freedom to choose what you want to do, where you want to do it, and how you want to do it. Now, the second benefit to this is that you have way more control. A lot of people that are working for companies, as we discussed earlier, are losing their jobs, and there's nothing they can do about it. They're pretty much now going from making a consistent income to losing their jobs, not knowing what to do, how to do it, and how to make money and support their lifestyle that they have. Most people have a lot of bills they're not going to be able to pay, and we're going to see a huge impact on the economy because of this. Whereas digital nomads who mainly work for clients or work for themselves are probably going to see a loss in business. They might even lose some clients, but they know how to go find more clients, they know how to go find more money, and they know how to make money themselves. They don't have to worry about having money sent to them via another person that they are reliant on. They know how to make money themselves. So even if they lose some clients, there are still businesses operating, and even though the competition is going to be more competitive, you will have the ability to go make money for yourself. And this right here, having just this little bit of extra control of what your income and your lifestyle looks like, is going to give you a huge advantage over everyone else who completely just doesn't know what to do at this point. Now, before you jump into this lifestyle, there are 2 things that you have to consider before you even start working towards anything. The first one is you have to believe in yourself. And I know that mindset is something that some people might think like, oh yeah, like give me actual tactical, practical advice, but it's true. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't think this is actually possible, your brain will find ways to prove that to itself. And what I mean by that is that your brain always wants to be right. So if you set out to go do something, and let's say you want to become your own boss, you want to become a digital nomad, you want to start your own business, or you want to just start having more location independence, you want to have more freedom. And if this is something you've been dreaming about for a while and you think you can do it, but you're not really sure and you have a lot of doubts, your brain is going to find ways to prove to yourself that those doubts are true. And that's how your brain works. Your brain is always trying to prove things, and it's always trying to find the truth in things. So if you have doubts, it's going to try and prove that to be true. However, if you flip that and you go into something with complete confidence and you see, hey, I see other people out there that are doing this. I see people from my neighborhood, or I see people on the social media that are doing this, that started from nothing. They were in the same position I was in, or maybe even lower than the position I was in, and they started out even with less than I had, and they've somehow figured it out. If that person can do it, there's absolutely no reason why I should not be able to do it. So if you go into it with this mindset and you know that you can do it because you see other people doing it, your brain will figure out ways to come across the problems and come across the hurdles. And in order to really clarify this, one of my most favorite quotes from Henry Ford is this quote right here. And he said, "Whether you think you can or can't, you're right." And that pretty much sums up everything I just told you. It's because your brain is always going to find ways to prove itself right. And if you think you can't do it, or if you think you can do it, you're going to figure out a way to make either one of those come true. So if you want to do this, you have to believe that you can do it. And that's the first step. Now, the second thing you need to consider is which route you want to go down. Do you want to become a freelancer, be your own boss, and pretty much be in control of everything yourself? Or do you want to work for a corporate company and get to a position within that company where you can work remotely. Now, because of the certain situation we're in right now, a lot of people are having to do this by default, and I don't have that much experience in this anyways, so I'm going to talk mainly about the other route, and that is working for yourself, becoming a freelancer, building up a skill, and learning how to make money for yourself, since I do believe this route also gives you the biggest advantage when we go through tough economic times and you have to figure out ways to make money when companies aren't hiring and they're only firing. Now, in order to just give you guys what you came here for, let's hop into the very first step of becoming a digital nomad, and that is building up your skill set. Without skills, you are screwed in life. There's nothing you're going to be able to do, and you need to have some skill, but the good news here is that skills can be learned. So you just have to decide what skill you want to learn. Personally, when I was on social media, Instagram, YouTube, I got really inspired by filmmaking and photography, and I saw that as my outlet to be able to learn a skill that would allow me to make money abroad. And I put all my energy into that. I learned as much as I could, and eventually I did reach a point where I was able to make money while traveling as a filmmaker and a photographer. Now, the thing is when you decide what skill you want to learn, you have to be willing to stick your head down and learn the required information in order to get really good at what it is that you do. I spent so many months behind the computer learning how to edit, learning how to shoot, learning how to compose my shots, and I would go out the next day and actually practice all of these things that I learned, and I was able to learn extremely fast so that in the course of about 6 months, I was able to go from complete noob to actually working and getting clients as a filmmaker and a photographer within only 6 months. And after doing that the first time, I kind of like got a hang of the process and what I need to do in order to learn a new skill. And now I've learned website design, I've learned digital marketing, I've learned copywriting, I've learned email marketing, and I've learned all these skills, but I've been able to do it so much faster, maybe in 3 months or 4 months or 2 months, because that first time you learn a skill, you pretty much have to learn how to learn and how to get really good at something. But once you understand the process of what it takes in order to get really good at something, you can pretty much copy and paste that onto another skill, and since you already know the process you have to go through, you'll be able to get results much faster. So in order to wrap that up, you have to decide what skill it is that you want to learn. You have to be able to stick your head down, actually get good at that skill, and completely focus on that skill 100%. I never hopped onto marketing or copywriting or email marketing until I was at a point within filmmaking and photography that I was already able to get clients just due to the fact that my work spoke for itself and people were hiring me without knowing how to email market, how to do any online advertising, and how to do any of the other things that I know how to do now. I was still able to make money just because I focused so relentlessly on that one skill and getting good enough to the point where I was able to make money at that. And then once I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm good at this, I can do this, I'm making money. How do I take this skill that I've learned and add on another skill that will give me the biggest advantage towards getting the results that I actually want? Because I can either focus the rest of my life on this one skill and becoming the best person in the world at this, which a lot of people are trying to do, or I can try and do something different and I can try and learn other skills that other people don't know, and when these two are combined, that will give me the result I'm looking for. And that has really changed a lot for me in the past few years, and just by having this mindset towards the skills that I learn, I've been able to grow so much faster than I had actually anticipated, and I've been able to build a successful business that pretty much operates for itself just by learning new skills. And it's really interesting to see how certain skills that you need to learn are just going to happen by default. So if you're a filmmaker and a photographer, you're going to reach a point where you need to build a website because you need to show your portfolio to potential clients and you need to look professional. So this is a skill that you're going to learn by default. You're going to have to learn how to build a website, but by starting out with filmmaking and photography, I wasn't planning to learn how to build websites. That's just something that I had to learn along the way. And if you keep an open mind towards all these new skills that you're going to learn along this journey, you're gonna have a complete stack of different skill sets that when combined together are gonna give you a huge advantage. And what you need to do is you need to make sure you have an open mind to learning these new skills, because I know so many people that focus so relentlessly on that one thing that they're good at, and when something new comes along, they try and push it away, they try and hire it out, but the truth is that nobody knows your business as good as you do, and it's really hard to hire people out and know if they're even doing a good job if you don't even know how to do it for yourself. So keep an open mind to learning new skill sets, and it's by having that mindset that you will be able to turn a hobby into an actual business that supports you. And this brings me back to the 3 steps and the 3 stages that you will go through as a digital nomad, working as a skilled freelancer in whatever industry it is that you do. So in order to start out, you're gonna need experience, and you're gonna need to build up your skills to a point where people are going to respect you for your work. And throughout that entire process, you need to make money as well. So the best possible way to start out is by working with clients. And a pro to this is that you get to improve your skill, you get to practice, you get to become better at, for me, it was filmmaking and photography, and this was pretty much practice for me. Now, another benefit to this is it also allows you to make money doing something that you actually enjoy. And this is a huge selling factor for a lot of people that are stuck in jobs doing things that they don't actually enjoy just for the money. This is personally why I started filmmaking and photography, and just because of the fact that I was able to make money doing something that I loved, that right there pretty much closed the deal for me. And since I personally have never enjoyed taking orders from people, I was now able to almost work for myself. I did have a lot more freedom, but that brings me to my first con of working with clients, and that is that you are still somewhat dependent on others. And when economic collapses like this happen, there are going to be clients that you're going to lose. You're still going to be dependent on other people, and it's pretty much going to depend on your ability to go find clients and sell them to determine whether you will succeed in this area or not. But it is the best area to start out in, and a lot of people do need help because it is very hard nowadays to find people who are good at what it is that they do. And when you develop a skill and you get really good at something, people will notice. For example, I've tried to hire out so many different jobs. I've built my websites, I've set up all my emails, I've done a lot of my marketing, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, so I'm in the process of trying to hire out people to do that for me. The only problem is that I find people who are very skilled at what it is that they do, and then when I talk to them and I look at their work, I look at what they've done, and I'm like, I know I can do this 3 or 5 times better, and they want to charge me $5,000 or $10,000 to do this? Like, that's just not worth it to me, because I know I can do a better job. And in order for me to pay top dollar, I want to have someone who at least has the same level of skills that I have, considering the fact that this is not my primary focus. I have 5 or 6 other things that I need to do in my business in order to keep it running. And if they're just focused on this one thing, they should be just as good, if not better than I am at that one thing. And due to the fact that I can't find anyone who is really good at email marketing, website development, website design, I have been doing this myself. However, I have noticed people who are very good at what they do. And last month, I found one of my students inside of my course who was an absolute killer filmmaker. He was crushing everything, going through every single piece of content, actually taking action on every single video that I put out. And due to his exceptional work ethic, I noticed that, and I called him up, and I was ready to fly him out, but unfortunately, since all flights have been canceled this past month, we had to put that on hold. But when things resume, we'll be working together. I'm gonna fly him out just because I recognized his skill set. He's extremely talented, he's a hard worker, and he takes the initiative. That does not go unnoticed. So the point of this story is just get as good as you possibly can at what it is that you do. There's so much information online, and you can pretty much learn everything you need on the internet. You just need to take action, you need to implement it, you need to learn, you need to have an open mind, and keep up with the times, right? Things are changing, so don't try and resist these changes. You have to look at what's happening, adjust, and stick with what's relevant, because filmmaking and photography is something in particular that is constantly changing in style, so you don't want to go out of date. You want to stay with the times and by staying relevant and staying up to date, you will also stay relevant as a filmmaker or photographer or content creator or whatever it is that you do. You need to stay relevant within your field. So keep up with trends, try and emulate success when you're first starting out. And as you're building this career and you're gaining experience, if you really get good at what it is that you do, you can start to build a personal brand around this. And this is because, again, this falls back to the point that it's really hard to find people out there in this world that are good at what it is that they do. So when you become really good at something, people respect that. And when you start to gain respect just through your work, that right there helps you enter the leadership role where people follow you because people are inspired by the endless hours of work you put in, the talent you've built up, and the discipline you have put yourself through in order to master this skill. And when you're able to enter this leadership role and gain respect through your work, you can start the personal branding process. And this is what I call step 2, because once you've built up a personal brand, you can do brand deals. And this is kind of similar to client work because you're still getting paid by other companies and clients, but instead of directly working for them, you're more so in a collaboration and they're paying you in order to incorporate their brand or incorporate their product inside of your brand. And they're going to get a return on their investment through that by either gaining content or gaining exposure through the personal brand that you have built up. So this gives you a little bit more freedom. You're still getting paid by clients. You're still stuck and kind of dependent on these brands or clients. But instead of having to do direct work and trade your time for money, you can leverage your lifestyle and your work to create a brand around yourself and then partner with other brands that are going to pay you to just live your lifestyle and enjoy your hobbies and pretty much sponsor you. It's similar to snowboarders and skaters and all these extreme sports athletes we see that get sponsored by companies like Red Bull, Monster, Spy, all these different companies that sponsor them to just keep practicing, and they pretty much support their entire lifestyle because they get exposure through that. The athlete wins because they pretty much just get paid to do what they love to do, and that's, their sport. And it's pretty much a win-win in both cases. So that right there is phase 2. Now, the third step is actually building your own brand and building your own business. And it is super important that you've done step 1, you've done step 2, you've worked with clients, you've built up your portfolio, you've built trust by working with other brands. And once you've reached that point, you can start to build your own brand and your own business. Now, a huge benefit to building your own business is that you are no longer trading your time for money. When you're working with businesses and when you're working with clients, you're directly trading your time for money. However, when you're able to create a product using the skill sets that you've created, for example, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a photographer, I've created presets, I've created LUTs. Those are things that I just created by default in order to do my job, but other people are willing to pay me for them. So by packaging those up into a product and then selling them online, I'm able to sell something that I spent time to create once. And that way, I'm not physically trading my time for money every single time I need to make an income, right? When you're stuck working with clients, you have to go trade your time for money. If you want to keep making money every single month in order to pay your bills, in order to have an income, you need to keep trading your time. However, when you create products, you can use that to leverage your time in a way where it is scalable. Now, if you're wondering what it means to be scalable, if you're scalable, it essentially means that there is no limit to what it is that you're talking about. So if you have a scalable income, it means that you can really take this to extraordinarily high levels. And this is personally why, as I was going through college, this was before I had even thought about ever becoming a filmmaker or photographer. I was 18 years old. I was starting to go to college. And one of the most depressing thoughts for me was, you work for 4 years or you study for 4 years inside of school, you graduate, and you're like, okay, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to get this job, I'm going to get paid $80K a year, and that's it, right? That right there is a cap because you know that you're safe, you're pretty much, safe as long as you have a job, but you're going to get paid $80K a year, and you're never going to get paid more than that you're also probably not going to get paid less than that. And as long as you're okay with 80K a year and you ration your money throughout the month, you're going to be fine. That right there was very depressing for me because I don't want to feel like I'm capped. And when you have a scalable income, there's essentially no cap. And that's why I started my own business and did something that was a little bit more quote unquote risky, even though, you know, I personally believed in myself and I made it happen. So because I wanted something that was more scalable, even though back then I didn't even know what scalable meant, I decided to start my own business and I started freelancing, and then I realized that I was still trading my time for money. And then I started working with brands, and then I realized I was still kind of trading my time for money, even though it was a lot more fun. And then I realized I needed to create a product. And once I did that, that is how I would be able to scale. Personally, I love digital products. Just like I mentioned, presets and LUTs, those are digital. People just pretty much get an email link, they download it. I have no product cost, and it's pretty much all profit except for the advertisements I run online. So this is a lot safer and a lot easier for me to do since I don't have to worry about product costs or shipping or customer service or returns or any of that stuff, since it's completely digital. And this also gives me a much larger safety net for if I do decide to run online advertisements. I know that I don't have to calculate product costs and shipping within that in order to turn a profit. I know that I can pretty much spend whatever it is that digital product costs in order to get one sale, and as long as I'm within that, I'm turning a profit. So that is why I think step 3 is such a crucial step, and that is learning how to create a product around your skill set. And even if you think that your skill set doesn't allow you to create any products, people are willing to pay for information. And that is the second product I created. That was an online course teaching other content creators how to make money as a filmmaker and a photographer and work with clients, work with brands, and create their own products. Pretty much everything I told you here, but in way more detail. And that right there is a digital product that I created. It took me several months to create and set up online, but once I created it, it pretty much just runs on autopilot, and that right there is extremely scalable. So in order to wrap this up, these are personally the 3 stages I've gone through, and that's working with clients in order to gain experience, working with brands to continue gaining experience, but also build up a reputation, build up a portfolio, build up a personal brand, and build trust with your audience and people that start to follow you because of the reputation that you've built up and the respect that you've gained by working with these large companies. You can then move on to creating your own products and selling something that is scalable, and that is how you go from learning just a basic simple skill to then making money from it, maybe learning a few other skills along the way. For me, learning digital marketing, learning website development, learning email marketing, and all these other things that were required in order for me to set up my business were extremely helpful in helping me succeed, because I didn't have the money to hire people out when I first started, and I also wanted to make sure it was done right. So I learned these things along the way, and as long as you have an open mind to learning these things along the way, you can get to that point where you start out from just learning a simple basic skill to then running your own business. And the advantage to this as well is that I know that as long as I have my knowledge that I have of how to set everything up, I can always make money, because I know how to create a product, I know how to put the product online, I know how to convince people to buy the product, and I know how to put my product in front of millions of people's faces. So with that entire equation, I know that if I get my product in front of millions of people, they're convinced to buy it, they can buy it, and it's for sale, I'm gonna make money. So I'm in control from everything from A to B. I don't have to rely on clients. I don't have to rely on a company to work for. And that's why in times of crisis, I don't really worry at all, because I know that I know the formula in order to go ahead and make money with my skill set. And all of this is due to the fact that I had an open mind, willing to learn new things. So if there's anything I want you guys to get out of this video, I want you guys to have an open mind towards learning new skills and learning skills that you need in order to really give you an advantage to that first thing you set out to do along the way, because there are going to be so many more things you're going to have to learn. And if you just keep an open mind to learning new things, you can get to a point where you are extremely proficient, pretty much to a point where other people will consider you an expert a lot faster than you might think. All you have to do is work hard, keep your head down, stay focused, and have a willingness to learn, because the worst excuse is saying that you don't know how to do something, because everything out there is on the internet. All you have to have is the willingness to figure it out, because everything is online. So when you say that you don't know how to do something and you're using that as an excuse not to do it, that's pretty much you saying that you don't believe in yourself, or you're not willing to even try it, or you're not willing to put in the effort. And those are all really bad excuses to have, because coming up with excuses is just a way for you to give yourself the easy route out. If you want it easy, you're not going to get far. So if you want to become a digital nomad, be prepared for some challenge. Take it, embrace it, enjoy it, and develop that willingness to learn. And if you have that, you guys will be set. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Just to cover everything real quick, the two things you want to consider are, do I believe I can do this? If you don't believe you can do this, why don't you believe you can do this? Get to the bottom of that. Second option is, how do I want to do this? Do I want to do this through the corporate route within a company, or do I want to do this for myself? And then the 3 steps to doing this for yourself. If that is the route that you take, work on your skill, work with clients and develop your skill along the way, work with brands in order to support your lifestyle and create your own personal brand, and then finally create your own brand, your own products, and create something that is scalable. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. That is it for today. See you guys next week.